All right, guys, we're back with a disc review. We've got the Though Space Athletics Animus. Here you're going to see the numbers of 11502. And Though Space coming in clutch, sending us this mold in various plastics. There you see the Ethos Plastic. This disc definitely feels super comfortable in the hand. It's kind of a hybrid between a distance and fairway driver. Feels stable in most plastics. Most of these plastics are pretty grippy. Premium plastic all the way across. I'm interested to see how these discs are going to react, and we're going to take it to the field and to the course in varying wind conditions to find out what this disc is all about. All right, the Aura plastic I was very excited about. It felt like it had some give to it, not a lot, but definitely a little bit of giveness to it, and it felt workable. This particular one was a little bit flatter, and I was able to really get on it, and for me, it kind of pushed the distance a little bit more. I felt comfortable throwing it flat without having to worry about it turning over on me, and it still fought back. This forehand here down the tunnel about 290 feet, just absolutely beautiful line, moving left to right and then finishing subtly. That is a thing of beauty. And the Ethos Plastic, if you've ever thrown something like Champion Plastic from Innova, very similar feel, a little more stiff, but still has some give to it, even on a cold day like today. Felt great going into the headwinds. A big shout out to the practice poles that you see there from Pro Pole Disc Golf. And here just ripping it off the tee flat, letting it finish. You can see it's going to fade a little earlier and a little more to the left than the Aura plastic. The Ethereal felt even a touch stiffer than the Ethos, but definitely still had that same workability. I will say that so far out of these three different plastic types, the run from disc to disc felt very similar. So nothing was completely wonky and out of the ordinary. As you can see here, this flies beautifully, turns to the right slightly on the headwind, just gets past the 300-foot marker, finishes back over. Forehands into a headwind, not an issue. Not trying to crush one, but easily getting it out there. The Nebula Aura plastic, again, similar feel to the Ethereal, but just overall handling power, handling turnovers, and then giving you a slight finish there at the end. The Glow plastic, this one felt like the flattest of the bunch, and if you've ever thrown Glow plastic from other brands, they tend to be a little bit more stable. Nothing really different about this here. This one was very flat, low parting line, so I anticipated it would have some finish, and it absolutely did. But again, the consistency between the plastics is awesome. So you can go from one plastic type to another without having to sacrifice the ability of knowing what exactly the disc is going to do. Loving it so far.
And here we are in the field with the Though Space Athletic Animus, throwing it here in Aurora plastic. This is the slightly flippier plastic to me. We see that for a 10-speed driver, has a good amount of carry. It does show its negative turn in the throws, even with this forehand here, but it comes back with a strong fade. That's one thing you can consistently say about this disc, is that it is going to come back with a nice fade, even when thrown on a little bit of ante. Throwing it out here in the field, we see that even as a 10 speed, you can get adequate distance on each drive. Throwing it in a slightly more stable plastic here, but it still flips up to flat and finishes in line with our flags. Again, flips up to flat, rides straight, and then finishes. For me, this is more like a control distance driver. Just because of that -1 that is there, it allows you to control the flight a little bit more, even if thrown slightly off. Again, going straight, and then a strong finish at the end. And again, we are thrown into a headwind here. On forehand, it does the same thing as far as flipping up straight and then finishing over. I know for me, my forehands come out slightly on hyzer, so having a disc that I can know that I can just get into and still is going to flip up for me and not turn over is ideal. Here we go with the Nebula Plastic. Again, just look how straight that is. If you ever want to get someone hooked on disc golf, this right here is what you need to show them. That flight, how can you not love that flight? That right there was 100% control there. And again, we're throwing in the headwind, so it's a little bit More unstable. This right here was without headwind, and it still holds straight and then finishes strong. Now this right here is the glow plastic. You'll see that because it's the glow plastic, it's a little bit more stable and starts to fade a little sooner than the other disc. Still can go straight, still has a little bit of turn, but it's definitely going to finish. Again, comes out of the turn a little earlier than the other plastics, but still very controllable.
Here at Run Productions, we use a 4-tier rating system when we're reviewing a disc. The disc can be rated either in the basket, in the bag, in the trunk, or in the garage. Depending on how we clicked with the disc during the review process will determine what our final rating is. So final review here for the Though Space Animus. I'm giving this an overall rating of in the bag. A lot of times when you have a hybrid distance driver or something that is kind of in between speeds, maybe, you don't really know what to expect, and from run to run or from disc to disc even, there can be a lot of inconsistencies. One of the main reasons why I'm giving this the in the bag rating is because in between all the different plastics, the consistency, the flight, the feel, the true nature of the disc kept on shining through. There was never a question as to one disc was going to be completely different from another. This disc is designed to go straight for a higher arm speed. It's going to maintain that line for longer and then finish left or right depending on how you throw it. For an intermediate arm speed like myself, it is a reliable fighter of the wind, but it also gives you the workability to be able to throw this in tunnel shots and work it throughout different fairways and give you the results that you're looking for. So for that reason, it's going in the bag.
Now for my final rating on this disc, I'll say this: as an experienced player, you'll enjoy the consistency that you'll get with it in a headwind, tailwind, any wind. Like I said, it's really a good control distance driver. I know calling it 10 speeds the distance driver is a far stretch when the speeds go up to 14, but really when you're looking for control, you're not going to those high numbers, you're going to a 10 speed. For a new player or a player with a slower arm speed, you'll still find utility in this disc because you'll be able to stretch it a little bit further than you would the typical overstable driver. Because of its usefulness for both an experienced player and the new player, I give the Animus a rating of in the bag. Even if you have a driver in the bag that can do most of the things that the Animus can do, you'll still want an Animus just because I guarantee the stamp is going to look better. We all know pretty discs fly further.